Let's perform a Cossack squat. So in the Cossack squat here, we just need some sort of weight, some sort of light weight, essentially, like the light book will work as well, water bottle, so on and so forth. But basically, we're using it as a counterbalance. So I want you to hold on to the weight here. You're just gonna extend the elbows as much as you can and then reach forward. When you reach forward, I want your shoulder blades to pull away from each other, right? So you're reaching forward, but your chest stays up as well. That's some scapular protraction. We're just gonna take the feet out nice and wide. While holding this counterbalance, we're just looking straight forward. I want your torso to stay up nice and tall. And then we're just gonna squat down to one side. When you squat down to one side, obviously this knee will flex. This opposite leg is gonna stay straight, and then the foot is gonna pivot or start to pivot off the floor, right? So the toes are gonna come up. You're gonna squat down into as much depth as possible, and then you're just gonna drive back up to the top. So a big breath in, heading down, big breath out, coming up. You're gonna feel a nice stretch on the hamstring and adductor here on the straightened leg, and then you're gonna feel a ton of quad and a little bit of glute on this opposite leg here. Look for as much depth as possible. Ideally, you can touch all the way to the floor. I can't right now, but that is a goal that we're all striving to achieve here for this exercise. But that's our Cossack squat. To perform this for the prescribed sets and repetitions. Okay, let's perform a long lunge repetition. So you're gonna need some sort of stable surface as some external assistance, right? So just like a box, chair, wall, anything like that will technically work here, but you just kind of wanna lean into it with your hand, right? Any which way you, or any surface you use. So in a long lunge position here, basically think of it like a front splits, right? Where one leg here is just gonna be out in the front end, and then for the back leg here, I'm just trying to pull that knee as far away from the front side as possible. In this case here, I'm not gonna fully extend my front knee. I'm just gonna keep it nice and bent at a 90-degree angle. From there, I'm gonna curl my toes down here on the back foot. I'm just gonna stay nice and tall, right? Using this for a little support, I'm gonna straighten out my back knee. Once I straighten it out, I'm gonna hold it for 3 seconds, and then I'm just gonna touch back down. So breath out, hold, 2, 1, and then touching back down. So the goal here is we don't want the hips to rise up and the torso to drop. I'm trying to stay as tall as possible, holding this anterior pelvic tilt, and then that's where I'm creating some nice length in the back hip flexor. That's when you're really gonna feel this quad light up here. So that's our long lunge repetition in the shortened version. If you want to make this a little bit more difficult, you'll straighten out the front leg as much as possible. You're gonna keep the heel down here, right? And that's when we're really gonna start feeling the hamstring working hard here. So staying nice and tall, straightening out the back leg, and then coming back down. That right there is our long lunge repetition. Let's perform a split squat hold. So in the split squat hold, what we're looking to do is we're basing out a front back leg here. The front knee is going to line up with the ankle of the front foot. Really important there. And then the hip is going to line up with the knee for the back leg, right? We're looking to create almost 90-degree angles here, right? At the knees, at the hips. So really key here is we hold this nice posterior pelvic tilt as we're in this position. That way we can really work in some length for the hip flexor on the back end. You're staying nice and tall. You're just gonna pop the knee off the floor here. Once we pop the knee off the floor while holding that pelvic tilt, you're gonna feel obviously a ton of quads here, but we should feel some glute too on the back end. That's when we know we're in a nice posterior pelvic tilt. Let's say this gets a little bit easier. You can create a reach here with the opposite arm to the front leg. Once we create that reach, it's just gonna pull us into a little bit more internal rotation in the back hip and just challenge you just a little bit differently here. But this is our split squat hold.